And we're recording. Michael Gelb, welcome to Go Beyond Summit.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Thank you. Gosh, that's such an honor and a privilege to talk to you and be able to meet you after reading your books all these years. I mean, you've written so many books that have been such an inspiration in my life. So thank you so much. And guys, if you don't know about him, check out all of his books. One of my favorites is How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci. It ties into interpersonal, intrapersonal, and just having the kinesthetic awareness and being able to tie in all the different components that create a genius. And that's what whole body, whole brain is all about. And that's what athleticism, our business, has been about for about 20 years. And you've been really the inspiration, along with my mentor, Dean Britnam, in thinking and preparing and performing in that capacity. So
wonderful. Thank you.
let me turn it over to you now that we have a little intro for you. I mean, we can go on and on in a number of books, but let's hear from you. Talk to us about whole brain training and whole brain performance and how you got into it. Yeah, and give us some of your insight and background on it.
Well, when I was a child, Leonardo da Vinci was one of my heroes, along with Superman. And I remember when I discovered that Superman was only a comic book character, that Leonardo da Vinci was real. And the more I learned about him, the more he seemed to embody all of our potentiality. He was, as we all know, one of the great artists of all time, but also a genius as a scientist, an amazing inventor who invented the parachute before anybody could fly, which is really thinking ahead.
Wow.
And famous for his anatomical drawings and dissections, which are still used in medical schools to this day. And the more you learn about Leonardo, the more amazing and inspiring he becomes. So most people know that Leonardo da Vinci was the genius, ultimate Renaissance man, artist, and scientist. But he was also renowned as the strongest man in Florence. He was a master fencer, an equestrian. I was thrilled when I discovered he was also a juggler.
Love it.
Right? And he was renowned for his physique, his grace, and his poise. So what I did when I wrote How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci, it was a culmination of a lifetime interest in Leonardo. I said, here's an opportunity to really focus in on what was Leonardo trying to teach his students about the development of mind and body, about the integration and the expression of all of our potentiality. So I read all his notebooks over and over again, but I read them with the question, what's he trying to teach us? And what's wonderful is he gives very clear advice to his students. And I just translated it into contemporary language and then crafted practices that people can do so that they really can embody Da Vinci's advice. So for example, he says, learn to let your mind go free. He says, when you want to come up with a new idea, he says, think of 1,000 things, divine landscapes, which you may then reduce to their complete and proper forms. Now, when I was reading that, I realized this is the first time that we have someone actually teaching us how to think creatively. And for 1,000 years in the Middle Ages, nobody said, let your mind go free and think of 1,000 things.
Yeah.
Middle Ages in Europe, if you let your mind go free, your head went free. But the Renaissance, the rebirth of this Greek ideal of human power, potentiality, and creativity, here's Leonardo giving practical advice, saying, if you want to be creative, think of lots of possibilities. But you notice he says, which you may then reduce to their complete and proper forms. So I translate this in contemporary terms, generate first, then organize. It's like the writer's motto, write drunk, revise sober. This is the yin and yang of creative and critical thinking, which is how we really access our full intelligence. But one of the other marvelous things about Leonardo is it's not just some notion of this disembodied intellect. We're all familiar with the Vitruvian Man, the beautiful canon of proportion figure that Leonardo crafted as an illustration for his friend's book. It was an architecture book based on the original architectural ideals of Vitruvius, a Roman architect. And Vitruvius's notion was that the human body was a perfect metaphor for the whole universe, and it held within it the secrets of design and proportionality that could be applied in architecture. So how is it that Leonardo draws this image of the body that 500 years later, well, we see it as a logo for chiropractic offices, physical therapists, trainers, Pilates teachers, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, nutraceuticals. Why? Because 500 years ago, Leonardo gives us an image, a living image, an eternally radiant image of our own wholeness, of our own connectedness, how our own being truly is a microcosm of the whole universe. So, but he doesn't stop there. He gives us practical advice in his notebooks. He says, learn to preserve your own health. Now, isn't that today what we call holistic health? You're responsible for your own wellness.
Exactly.
Leonardo writes 500 years ago, avoid grievous moods and keep your mind cheerful. Well, today we call that psychoneuroimmunology. We know that your attitude affects your immune system moment to moment for better or worse. Leonardo says, eat a healthy, wholesome diet of the freshest, most wonderful things that you can find. Share them with your friends, have a little red wine with dinner, and get moderate exercise. What else do you need to know? And then he cultivates his ambidexterity and suggests that we do the same, because physical ambidexterity is a metaphor for our psychological ambidexterity, for our ability to integrate logic and imagination, art and science.
Beautiful. It's unbelievable. So I know you're a seasoned juggler with those silky hands I've seen. Now, what are some of the other ambidexterity exercises that you enjoy doing?
Well, my main ambidextrous practice is Qigong. And for years before that, it was Aikido. So I'm a fifth dan in Aikido. I used to train 2 or 3 hours every day for years and go to seminars and just really into it. And I've also been doing Qigong for many, many years as well, because my Aikido sensei told me after I got my black belt many years ago and I knew all the moves, I said, well, I know all the moves, but when you do them, there's a lot more mojo. How do I get the mojo? You want to do Qigong. But part of what I always loved about Aikido was everything's ambidextrous. Everything's done. You do one side, other side, one side, other side. You switch with your partner. So you're continually getting the balance of the two sides, both in your own being and then through connection with another person, which seems to create this phenomenal synergy. Then, however, as a result of taking probably 20,000 break falls, I had a hip replacement and a knee replacement. So I was walking around on a walker. Oh, and have you ever had a Charlie horse?
Yes.
Right. You ever have one for 2 weeks?
Yeah, I had an older brother.
My calf muscle, and I'm walking on a walker, and then somebody who self-image was very much associated with movement mastery and body-mind flowing integration and demonstrating poise and grace and ease and excellence and being a professional juggler, this was one of those classic moments where I said, great, here's an opportunity to take everything I've learned about the body, the mind, the spirit, the integration of our being, and apply it to rehab myself so that I'm stronger, more resilient, more flexible, and more powerful than ever before. So, but the key to do that is to take what I've learned about Qigong, and that's I was telling you before about how I created the Super Chi Summit, and I've now written a book about Qigong. I'm working on another one. I teach it to my clients all over the world because it's great to, and I also mentioned to you, I have wonderful healers and therapists and friends and all sorts of modalities. But what I'm really interested in is, how can I do this for myself? What are the most empowering practices that I can just access when I'm in my hotel room getting ready to go give a lecture, even when I'm at the gate getting ready to board my flight? How can I integrate this self-healing, this energizing, this attunement, this alignment with Da Vinci's Vitruvian being on my own? So I went around and I started to meet great masters of Qigong, and I didn't just interview them, I went on intensives with them, I became friends with them, I started to do exchanges with them from the methodologies that I learned. And that's why I brought them all together to this Super Chi Summit. We're doing a mini version this summer on August, I think it's August 10th, that weekend, at Omega Institute with Master Robert Peng and Grandmaster Ken Cohn and your humble servant, to try to share with people these simple, elegant, empowering practices. So yeah, Qigong, Tai Chi, Aikido, those are some of the ambidextrous practices that enrich my life.
That's so fascinating. I mean, I love Qigong, and I've had several people that have taught it to me over the years, and continue to learn from just so many different senseis, if you will. And it's definitely, the martial arts just in itself are such a ambidextrous art, and then you have one of my colleagues, Kelly Carter, is a really proficient fighter in MMA and martial arts, and he used to just do, just all the different movements with the balls and going both ways and just swinging things. I don't even know what they called, but he was so ambidextrous, it was unbelievable, just from the arts, and he was just this master fighter. And a Qigong master as well. So it was just tying the fighting with that. I really respect that, and it's such a great thing. Talk to us more about. I want to hear about the summit real quick, because we were free flowing so much. I want to I want to hear more about the summit. What do you? Or is it? It's a live one. Can you chime in on the internet? How is it? How is the format?
Well, we're doing this summer. We're doing the Super Chi Weekend.
Okay.
At Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. It's that weekend, August 10th, that weekend. And it's Ken Cohen, who is one of the great scholars and just phenomenal practitioners of Tai Chi and Qigong in the world. And Master Robert Peng, who's a Chinese lineage master. And so I got these guys together. They met for the first time when I created the first Super Chi Summit, which we're going to do. The next one of those will be in 2019 on Memorial Day weekend, also at Omega.
Okay.
And there's 5 or 6, 7 other people who will be part of that as well. But when I got Robert Peng and Ken Cohn together, and Ken is fluent in Chinese. So Robert and Ken are talking, and they're kind enough to translate for me. So Ken is speaking, and Robert is just amazed. He says in Chinese, "Ken, I just can't, you're so fluent, you speak so perfectly, I can't believe you're not Chinese." And Ken answers back in perfect fluent Chinese, "You mean I'm not Chinese?" But the great thing about this is that even though this comes from a Chinese source, it's global. This is the great time we live in now, where we can have a summit like this. We can get access to just the most wonderful resources to heal ourselves, help heal one another, help heal the planet, heal our organizations and institutions. And the more we share this knowledge, the more we go deep, learn something, and then have these different wonderful platforms to share it, the better off we're all going to be. So it's wonderful to be with you and be part of this one.
Thank you so much. Well, you know my mentor, Dean Brittingham. He really started me off introducing you to your books and your thought process, and it's just pure genius, and I love that. What are some of the, well, let's say I have a daughter, she's 10. I've done countless different ambidexterity exercises. What are some of the simple things that you recommend for younger kids to do?
Well, we'll come back to juggling because it's just the most fun, and it's interesting how so many of these experiments that show the effects of various activities, ambidextrous activities, on brain development, on accelerating brain development, involve juggling. The classic one at Regensburg University with Professor Arnie May, it was done with adults, but they found that adults who practice juggling 15 minutes a day over 3 months showed significant improvements in their brains.
Wow.
So, I mean, obviously, I always come back to juggling, but then if you want to juggle on a balance board, you get even more benefit for obvious reasons. And having said that, there's another element that I want to emphasize that's part of my core practice and core secret for both my rehab, my own rehab, and what I teach others, and why is it that these Qigong masters invite me to teach with them? I didn't grow up as a lineage master, but I have been a teacher of the Alexander technique for over 40 years.
Wow.
And my first book is called Body Learning, An Introduction to the Alexander Technique. And I actually wrote it 40 years ago. It was my master's thesis. And if I would take one thing that people can do that will optimize their performance in everything else they do, including their Tai Chi and their Qigong or any other exercise or their juggling, it's the Alexander technique. And it's because exercises are not enough of your time to really make all the difference.
Mm-hmm.
What makes all the difference is how you are all the time.
Right.
And if the way you are all the time can be more poised, more balanced, more integrated, freer, lighter, easier, then any exercise you do is going to be so much more beneficial. So Alexander technique, to me, it's Western Qigong.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a friend who's a Tai Chi master, and I just sent him to one of my colleagues for Alexander lessons because I gave him a little demonstration. He said, "Man, that is unbelievable. It makes all my Tai, I'm floating him." He's a Tai Chi master. He teaches seminars around the world, but now he's having regular Alexander lessons. He just wrote me an email. He said, "I want to talk to you about the alignment of the coccyx because I'm learning new things based on my Alexander study, and it's seeming that there's a way that the coccyx can align ever more naturally instead of having to position it as we often try to do in Tai Chi." Say, yeah, exactly. So having said all this, I mean, we all need all the help we can get in the world today. So, and the other truism of self-development is that you really are your own best teacher. No kidding, really. You really are the guru. So explore these modalities and find the resources that mirror back to you your own intelligence and your own wisdom. And you'll know it. Look for what is easier, what is lighter, what is freer, what's more fun, what's more joyful, what's more loving. If you're asking those questions help you navigate this quest.
Awesome. I love it. Now, one of the big things is also intake for the brain and the body. Can you just touch on that a little bit as far as how we feed ourselves? It can really help facilitate with development.
Sure. So, well, same thing. I mean, so for my 60th birthday, which is already 5 years ago, I celebrated by writing this book called Brain Power, Improve Your Mind as You Age. And I looked at all the things that we can do that are research validated, first of all, to prevent dementia, but then to optimize our potential. And of course, there's a chapter on diet. And the thing about diet is these days, diet is kind of like religion. You know, people, because I have really good friends who are vegan and vegetarian, and I have other friends who are wacko paleos. So these people, you know, don't want to eat anything that ever showed any signs of you know, having parents or, and these people want to hunt it down and kill it and eat the still beating heart. But what I was looking for is that, because you know, I talk to gerontologists and I talk to neuroscientists, and I don't just ask them about the research. I say, what do you eat? What do you not eat? And so I'm looking at, you know, how can we all come together? How can we all come together? Whether you want to be a vegetarian or you want to eat meat, that's a different story. To me, that's much more about your own attunement to yourself, which is, by the way, the number one principle is attune to yourself. If you ask the question, what do I need? How do I feel? What do I want? What's available? And then the most important question, how will I feel after I eat it? What will happen to my energy and my sense of well-being after I eat that? And if you tune in, if you're mindful, if you're present, that's, first of all, the most important thing. That's what I practice. Having said that, I couldn't find anybody, neuroscientist, gerontologist, who advocates eating junk and, you know, stuff with all sorts of chemicals. And so obviously not. I mean, that's just an obvious one. Just no. And I don't believe in the 80-20, like it's okay to eat junk 20% of the time. No, don't. Garbage in, garbage out. Just eliminate it. Fresh, wholesome, no crap in it, obviously. And nobody said, oh, yeah, you should have more sugar. It just, you know, I mean, it doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy maple syrup on your pancakes, high quality dark chocolate, but no, don't be, no Coca-Cola, you know, sorry, no sugar in your, no. Eliminate the unnecessary sugar. It's just, these are really obvious consensus things. No junk, no sugar, fresh, wholesome, delicious, savor, tune in. The good news, coffee, tea in moderation, red wine, oh, thank you, hallelujah, quality dark chocolate. And a thing that we miss a lot in the US is just savoring the joy of dining together.
Right.
Because, you know, in Italy they say, a tavola non si invecchia. When you dine together with friends, you don't grow old.
Awesome. I love it. Well, I have to tell you this. I got my wife a new book for her birthday, and she is quite an entrepreneur. She invented the twist band, which is a no dent hair tie, and so we built it and sold it. Little background on us. I don't know if you knew, but anyhow, now she's on a new company called Campo Beauty. It's a modern essential oil, modern aromatherapy company, and so she has her own brilliant creative genius in her. So of course, there's no other book to get her than Wine Drinking and Inspired Thinking by
Awesome, man.
So that's showing up for her on Friday.
That's great.
Um,
You know, so the other thing I'm doing at Omega Institute in September, I think it's September 21st to 23rd, I'm doing a weekend called Uncork Your Creative Juices. where we're going to spend the whole weekend doing comparative tasting of wine, chocolate, and listening to beautiful music, appreciating magnificent art and scents, and writing poetry about it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And then, next I'm going to be coming back to Esalen Institute the beginning of next year and doing a program on body learning, where I'll teach Alexander technique and Qigong. I also teach an annual Alexander technique seminar in Malibu, December 27th to January 1st. So people want to come along and get some mojo live. Those are some of the opportunities. And we put all this on my website as well. So.
And that's michaelgelb.com, right?
Right. GELB, michaelgelb.com.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I remember reading that you were quoted as saying that there are more connections in your brain to your body than there are street corners in the entire country. Can you expand on that briefly?
More connections than there are atoms in the universe.
Atoms in the universe.
Yeah. And we keep finding out that there's more than we thought. So when people talk about the potential for creation being virtually limitless.
That's true. So when we always say, gosh, most coaches, when I work with teams and such in the past and present, I guess, is they're looking for getting 1% out of someone. I could quantify my nerve work to get about 20%, someone 20% stronger. There's an ARX machine that measures your power output. So we can test it before and after, and it's about 20%. And so, and that's just one treatment. But when you start doing all these whole brain trainings and whole body, and then Qigong and breathing and creating and journaling, and then intake wise, I mean, it's virtually unlimited as far as your capacity to go. And 10X, that's 1,000%. I mean, that's definitely achievable, don't you think?
Sure. I mean, most people just have no clue about because society doesn't, school doesn't teach you have every child, they don't teach you you're born with the potential of Leonardo da Vinci or Marie Curie. Every child is born with this amazing genius potential, and every parent knows this. Every parent knows their kid's a genius. You look at their eyes, you look at their energy, you look at their poise, they're upright, they're open, they're wildly curious, they're incredibly imaginative, unlimited, constant energy, total curiosity. They're always asking questions. That's the first principle for thinking like Leonardo. But then we send them to school, and unfortunately, they learn that answers are more important than questions. And then they start to, and you watch what happens to their bodies. First graders are like this, but by the time they're in second, third, fourth grade, kids start to be, and then they're teenagers. And what's happening? Well, that child who's alive with curiosity and imagination and energy asks a question, and it's a creative, original question, and the overworked teacher says, no, that's a silly question. It's not in the state mandated curriculum. And the other kids in the class go, you are an idiot. And inside everybody's brain on that day, something to the following effect takes place. Never, ever, ever do that again. So kids learn that they have to figure out the right answer. And that's the one held by the person in authority. So I'm devoted to helping everyone discover the renaissance, the rebirth of their natural Da Vincian potentiality. It begins with curiosity. It begins with asking these magnificent, life-changing questions. Like, who am I?
Well, I can answer that. To sum this up, you are a true genius, a Renaissance man, an inspiration for me and so many millions of people who've read your work. So thank you for all you do. sincerely. It's just unbelievable. You guys, and just hearing your energy and your talk, you embody everything about moving energy, and really it's just flows so freely. So I loved our conversation. I love listening to you talk, and I love reading your books more. more.
I want to come have a session with you. I want to get on that. I want you to work with me. I want to hit that machine, and then let's see if I can get, boom, 20. If you get me 20%, man.
Like that.
I'm there.
Oh, we can quantify. We'll look forward to having lots of fun together. I know we will in the years to come. And I hope everyone jumps in on your Super Cheese Summits and hits you up when you're in Malibu and all your different talks, because you're just unbelievable. So love it, love it. Thank you so much for going beyond with us on whole body, whole brain training. And you guys jump on his links, go to michaelgelb.com, buy his books, everything. It's all going to be on our site. And thank you again, Michael. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.